Hi guys, welcome to Dounia Debunks. Today I want to be exploring the topic of virginity, how much of a bullshit narrative it is, and embracing your sexuality as a whole. To help me out is one of my best friends here today, Barbara, and we know each other for quite a while, and she's always been here to kind of guide me through the steps of womanhood, so to say. So come through.
I'm like a little baby child.
No, when I first met you, I was just like, oh, my wise little mother who knows the world.
I like to pretend to know everything, but you know, I'm glad it's really working so.
So we have some bubble tea today. Oh shit.
Oh, this looks beautiful.
So we met because of a tweet. I actually like that story a lot.
We met because of a tweet, because you were just like going to a party, want some cute gals, and I was like, me, a cute gal, you, a cute gal, we were mutuals.
Was I hosting this party?
Get the ball. Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
You were like, justified, it's fine, moving on.
No, I was just wondering why I would be like, asking people to go to party with me. But I do that all the time when I'm like away. I'll be like, anyone in Ohio want to hang out?
So I brought you here today to speak on kind of virginity and sexuality and like this whole heteronormative approach that we constantly kind of gravitate toward without knowing the realities of the situation. For example, like me as a Muslim girl, you know, I kind of always place this, you know, like monumental emphasis on virginity, and even though it's like, you know, completely unnecessary, I was kind of forced to place, you know, so much of my value into this like social construct ultimately. So I was just wondering if you had like a similar upbringing, or like what was your upbringing in regards to sexuality? Like how did your parents, you know, like react to it, or how did they like kind of, you know, talk about it to you?
Well, I think my family is a little bit of a weird one because I have a single mom who came from Brazil here and had me within like a couple years with my dad. And recently she was like 21, very young, not married to my dad. My aunt also had come, and she's gay, so she had this wife, and you know, it was all these things happening in my family where like my grandma wasn't accepting my aunt's sexuality, and she was sending her away to go help my mom with me. You know, basically she didn't want her in the house and stuff like that.
No.
So my mom and my aunt were really young in the city, like 21, 16. My aunt was 16 when she came here by herself.
That's crazy. That's super young.
Yeah, they were wild. Like my mom was a wild child. You know, we had a bit of like a bohemian kind of like situation. Like my aunt always thought I was gay. Like it was one of those things where she would just talk to me. She'd be like, "Do you see any girls that you like?" or anything like that. And it was totally like just a part of my upbringing. And my mom was very open with sexuality, even though I'm her only child, so she's she's still to this day is like anything I do, she's like, oh my god, you're like a baby. Like I never spoke to my mom directly about sex, which is like weirdly, I think it's because I was her only child and she really thought of me as such a baby.
Yeah, same. I never directly spoke to my mom about that shit either.
My mom also probably thought I was having zero sex as a kid, because I was like no sex. No, nothing. Like I don't even
like, because I did stay home and watch Harry Potter.
She saw me every minute of the day with no friends or no boys, and she was like, okay, we're gonna be sick of it for a while. So I didn't really. But I knew that with my relationship with my mom, like she's there for me. She would never judge me. It's just kind of scary for her.
My mom didn't speak about it at all. I remember one time we were watching like Desperate Housewives. Shout out to Desperate Housewives, my favorite show ever, guys. But and then they mentioned like something about a condom, and she was like, "You don't know what that is, do you?" And I was like, "No." Okay. And then we didn't even speak about it. Like, can you imagine like someone like not wanting you to know about protection?
I had a very
like
similar experience.
Like what?
I was watching SVU with my mom, and they said something about ejaculation.
What do you consider like? What is your idea of virginity? Because honestly, the idea of virginity now is like super heteronormative. It's considered penetrative sex, which completely cancels out any gay or lesbian or whatever the fuck else. So it's just like, are they always virgins forever?
I never really understood that, because when I thought of sex, I thought of sex in all aspects. So people are like, I'm a virgin. If they say that to me, I'd be like, okay, so this person hasn't participated in any sexual acts and whatever reason it is.
So what do you think about this like false indicator of virginity, which is the hymen? And like, don't you think it's just so funny how it's still being pushed, even though it's like constantly disproved, and we're constantly like, oh, some people are born without it, some people, you know, don't have it, some people can break it with a fucking bike ride, you know, some people can grow it back if they just abstain from sex for a little while, like, and it's still like this kind of, you know, worldly standard for virginity and for purity, and that's what deems you, you know, valuable or not valuable. Like, don't you think that's like so fucking ridiculous?
Yeah, I think it's because it's like it's a weird way of people convincing themselves that they can put a branding on a woman and have like physical proof, because a woman doesn't change when she has sex. She's not going to be like one day she's a virgin, the next day she's like spreading her legs wide open.
Then she doesn't change.
Maybe she will. Maybe she will if she enjoys it. But it's not like that. You can't tell when a woman isn't a virgin. You can't tell by the width of her vagina. You can't do anything. So having some sort of like physical proof where they can like bring it up and shame a woman even more and be like, well, there's hard evidence that you're, a scallywag, mama.
It's literally that. It's just something to disallow us to take agency in our own bodies and to make us feel guilty for indulging in something that men constantly indulge in, which is our sexuality. Like, all of a sudden when we embrace it, it's this problem. And all of a sudden when, there's a first time for everything, but if it's a first time having sex, we're gonna put a word on it. And it's not even just gonna be a word, it's gonna be this whole thing. It's gonna be this whole thing. Like, I'm not just gonna have sex with you, I'm gonna take your virginity. Like, that gives them so much fucking power, and it's just like, it just makes you feel like so vulnerable and so like easily tampered with, when we're just this whole complete, complete being, and we don't have anything that's gonna,
other than our bodies.
Exactly.
And, like, what our choices are.
Got an email the other day from this Moroccan girl, and it resonated with me so much, because I was like, oh my God, I've been through the same exact thing, where she was like, oh my God, I'm like freaking out, I'm not a virgin anymore, and like, my parents are saying that I'm not even gonna get married now, and like nobody's gonna want me, and I'm like, oh my God, sis, I feel you, because when I was in Casablanca as little Dounia in Morocco, I had somebody who I like really looked up to sit me down and be like, when you have sex, like, nobody's gonna want you, so I'm like, don't do it. And like, when you're that young and it's somebody that you look up to so much, it's literally ingrained in you, and it was like ingrained in me.
I don't know, I don't really think of it as anything other than the person itself. Like, the person says, I lost my virginity, and if they choose to use that phrase, it's whatever they think constitutes that. I mean, I would even think someone's a virgin who had sex and didn't like it. It's like, oh, it don't count. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't count? Okay, like, that's you.
I understand.
No, dead ass though. So like, why would you force that term onto somebody, or why would you force your definition on somebody if you don't feel like you lost it or whatever? You don't want to count that, just don't count that. If you don't want to count it ever, then don't fucking do it. Why? Because it's all social construct anyway, kids.
And the fact that it's so heteronormative is like, people, like, even like young cis straight couples, they'll be like they'll do anything to avoid like the actual vagina and like penetration.
It's so crazy.
Like, we'll have ear sex. Like, it's like, bro, you really want to have sex and you guys want to, you should. Like, not because of some like.
I was half a virgin when I met him.
I was only like, I was like a quarter.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I love you. Also, look, guys, my nails match her shirt. Thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you come and join me next time for some more good talks and bubble tea.